the repentance is going to be really far in the other direction, not some mild thing like Nala still making cooking shows that are basically porn.
Sad enough.
That is dark. I do think bringing back a culture of shame could could work. You
If
know,
shame worked, Bonnie Blue wouldn't exist because even the hookers are shaming her, and she's just going harder.
yeah, but she's possessed by a demon, so
Sean shaking his head.
No, I
What do you have to
always
say,
say
Sean?
that. I always say if you go to Japan, it doesn't work. Japan has high level of shame, low out of wed births. Also, divorce is shamed. Nobody gets divorced, but women just decided, okay, if you're gonna shame me, I'm not gonna get married and I'm not gonna have kids. There you go.
I mean,
You
they want
shame
to.
me. You shame me for divorce. You shame me for having a baby out of wedlock. Okay, got Roger that. I won't be with men. And most Japanese women are not with men. And their culture has a problem having a birth rate and having people just meet and greet each other. So people just choose not to do it then. They'll say, I'll go to the spa, I'll have a cat, and I'll live in my apartment, and I'm okay with that.
Hmm.
Goodbye.
I
that's
mean,
not why that's going on in Japan.
Leonardo,
That's not
just
why
look
it
at
is.
Yes, it
just
is.
look
But go
at
ahead.
Leonardo. Just look at us. I mean, we get shamed all the time for being sexist. I think you're racist, right? I'm not an insult. I just thought you said that in a tweet or
Racist,
something.
anti-Semitic,
Yeah, all that. But
misogynist,
like but
everything in
we
the
just,
book.
but it doesn't. Yeah, but it doesn't work, right? We just keep going. like,
Yeah, it
Well,
doesn't
it
work at
doesn't work
all.
if people
like look
can't
at us. You
shame
know what I
you
mean? Go ahead.
if
Yeah.
you are aligned with the truth. So people call me all that shit because I say things that are inconvenient for them to hear. But I know it's the truth. So that's why it doesn't work. But shaming out of behavior that is immoral and bad for you and corruptive, yeah, that works. Japan has this low birth rate because everybody's working like 100-hour weeks. They're just nonstop working. They've been totally turned into robots. Also, I don't think you're going to have women be in a traditional role when they're in the public sphere. This is a big thing that's discussed in the church. Like you'll hear this with the Orthodox priest being like, "Hey, the public domain is is the domain of the man, and the private domain is the domain of the woman. You cannot expect your woman to be in the public domain working and, like we are, Pearl, we're in the public domain, and also having the virtue of someone who is in the private sphere and protected. It's not going to work."
Leonardo,
But wait,
I'm gonna ask
let
you.
me say something real quick.
Hold on.
Let me say something real quick,
Sean, real
Doug.
fast, real fast. Hold on,
Okay.
Leonardo. So I'm gonna have to ask you to come back on because Pearl is on a one-woman war against these fake TradCon influencers
Oh,
who
I'm
use their
all about
family as
that,
clout,
by the way.
who
I'm all
who
about
who
that.
who drag their husbands onto social media, who tell women to be traditional, but then they have their husbands are worth $100 million, but then they can't put their YouTube channel down. They're not staying home to take care of their children. So
They're
you
like
need to come
married.
back on. So
So good,
so you and Pearl can have an honest to goodness conversation and call these broads out.
Yeah, they're
I'd
like
be I'd
Mary.
be
They're like
happy to do
Mary.
that.
I did the stats because they would always say to marry for love or whatever. And I decided I wanted to see how traditional they were statistically. And so I'm like, okay, did you have 4+ children, marry before 25? And 25, to be honest, in the old days was kind of late. So I was actually being generous. And were you hypergamous or did you marry your high school sweetheart? What was the net worth of the husbands? I did the numbers because a lot of women claim to be these things, but I'll go through the numbers of like their life choices, and they're always the same. And I found that the average net worth of a TradCon woman's husband was $4 million.
Nice.
And they're
Nice.
still out here. And they're still out here. It's like Candace Owens and all these broads. There's no reason why they shouldn't be at home raising their children, but they're
They're
out
like,
here
yeah.
anyway.
They're like, I care about my kids, but let me post them on Twitter where there's pedophiles.
Yeah.
Do you? And then I'm like, I think you're using your kids in your relationship for clout. And they get so mad. I'm like, you guys are just using them to like signal you're good people. As most of you know, I have been fighting on the front lines of the simp epidemic for years, but I need to tell you about a quiet weapon being ratcheted up against men that is rarely talked about. It's not just the relentless anti-masculinity propaganda and OnlyFans hoes causing the societal issues that we discuss on this show. Did you know that the average city's tap water contains trace pharmaceuticals and endocrine disruptors? This often includes estrogen from birth control. The average adult consumes a credit card worth of plastic every single week. That's 5 grams of plastic a week on average. So it's no wonder that the average male's testosterone is half of what the average was 50 years ago. Testosterone levels decline 1% a year, and without a course correction, we are headed towards extinction. No matter how based you are, you need to be naturally boosting your testosterone. My friends at Chalk, CHOQ.com, are on a mission to save mankind from extinction by boosting your vitality. Chalk's Male Vitality Stack contains premium and potent herbs clinically studied to naturally boost your testosterone levels, sperm count, and overall vitality. Just one of the many ingredients in the Male Vitality Stack was studied in double-blind human clinical trials to boost total testosterone 20% in 90 days. When you boost your testosterone, you'll have more mental clarity, you're more capable of making decisions and taking risks. Having high testosterone will also affect your pheromones, so women will find you more attractive subconsciously. Get the Chalk Male Vitality Stack right now on chalk.com. That's CHOQ.com. Use my name Pearl as your coupon code and you'll get 25% off site-wide on chalk.com. That's CHOQ.com. My name Pearl is the discount code.
Like you're right on the money with
And
that.
then I'm like, then they get so mad at me. I never insult them. I'm just like status signaling. There it goes.
Yeah. So where we got to you, B, is Pro actually has a model of the
No,
the conservative
she's
female
coming
influencer
in the studio, Doug.
Let's go.
She's gonna come.
Yeah,
I
I'll
think
be in there.
said, you're in October, right? She's hilarious.
Yeah, I'll be there in
She's a
October.
idiot.
Yeah, I'll be
Awesome.
happy to come in. And by the way, I make no qualms about being trad or anything. You know, my life did not go a nice route because the guy I married when I was 25 ended up being a certified con artist. So excellent job.
What
yeah.
happened?
He was scamming people out of money like left and right. And then I don't have to get into it, right? But anyway,
Did you get
that's why
scammed?
in a way, yeah, I did get scammed. Totally got scammed. But, you know, you live and you learn, and then you turn into a bitter curmudgeon like I am. And you just fucking, you get real bitter with people. I didn't make me bitter towards men. I will say that. I've got a lovely man now who's wonderful, but
well, remember, all you have to do is find your one, and that's what these broads don't understand. You can hate
fully
men all you
agree,
want.
man.
All you have to do is find your one. Sean, go ahead. What were you saying?
Yeah. Let me just speak straight to the men if you're listening. Look, bruh. Look, people who tell you they have to be a stay-at-home wife in order to be feminine or in order for this, look, most people in the world work. Everybody works, bruv. Throughout human history, everybody has worked. Men have protected and women have bared children, but everybody works. You go to Africa, you go to Asia, you'll find women working. Everybody's surviving because throughout time, all people have struggled. Nobody has ever been home with the kids just focused on the house, right? If the husband was farming, the women's was taking the products to the market to sell them. So women in the West are trying to tell you guys, well, if I was at home and I wasn't working corporate America, I wouldn't be a man. I wouldn't be masculine. I wouldn't be rude and disrespectful. None of that is true. Okay. You
And
go out there and you live in the world and touch grass, and you'll find all people have struggled. Everybody has to do provision because everybody is not multimillionaires who makes money on the stock market.
well, and
That is, go ahead, Pearl.
the crazy thing is, like, you know, I'm all for the housewives or whatever, but nowadays there's 2 kids in public school. So once the kid's like 5, I'm like, what are you doing all day? You know what I mean? My grandma had 9. She was pregnant for a decade. So, and
Chilling, Pearl.
she even had a part-time job. She even got a part-time job after the youngest kid was like 4. And then the
They
older
just want to
kids
be
watch.
drinking wine and taking roofies. That's what they want to do. So they want to convince men that they need to be that home.
No, that's what I found out is I'm like, a lot of these housewives are just lazy and they want to use their
That's it.
kids to like build their brand. And they just don't want to They don't want to work. So I'm like, I'm not saying that you need to do a lot, but if your kids are at school and if you work in part-time means you guys could retire early, I don't know why you wouldn't. You know what I
Hey,
mean?
Pearl, baking bread is an all-day venture. You don't know how difficult that is to bake
Sourdough
bread
bread,
from
You
nonetheless.
scratch.
know what? You know what? I learned how to make bread, and when I did it, I was like, "This is a waste of time." I was like, "Man," I'm like, "It's not that much better, and you can get a pretty good one from a bakery if you really want it, and it's not very expensive." Get that sales job at home or like the marketing. We have so many jobs where we just do nothing and make money. I'm
I'm
like,
gonna
why don't you want your guy to retire early? Do you know what I mean? Like the average guy makes like, I don't know, $60,000 a year. So if you're like a teacher, you can make 40. That's an 100K household. But
I-
who
I'm
am
gonna
I?
ask I'm gonna ask Leonardo a question. So, did you see that one Lil Tay girl where she turned 18 and she got an OnlyFans and she made like $1 million in 3 hours? Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that. That was Jewish propaganda, but go ahead.
Anyway, so what? So Pearl and I have come up with a thing, especially with the get out of jail free card. We say that church nowadays is the last stop on the horror train. All you have to do is whore yourself out, and then when you hit 25 to 28, you find Jesus and you find some church simp to marry. So I would recommend, honestly, if you were a woman that didn't want a traditional, like a traditional 9 to 5, get an OnlyFans when you're 18, make a couple of mil, and then go to the church and find yourself a church simp. I say this because
Yeah.
let's say a 18-year-old girl would have come to you and say, you know what? I don't want to work a 9 to 5 job. I kind of want to do the entertainment business, whatever, blah, blah. And she would ask for life advice. How would you recommend she chart her life out?
Oh boy, the last thing I would do is tell anybody to get into the entertainment business. I don't know, man. I would probably ask her to really find some actual skills that she had that the world could use, which are going to be very hard to find for most people and specifically most women, and then focus on that instead of what everybody's doing. But they're not going to listen to me. They're going to do what they're going to do. They're going to do what the culture's saying. So there's no point.
No,
And
I mean, but her skill is, throwing ass. It's the
well,
punani.
then
So
you need
that's
to
I'm
get a
like,
husband who wants you to throw some ass.
hey,
Throw
okay.
it. That is, it says that in the Bible. It says God created marriage so that human beings could direct their lust impulses into a structure where it wouldn't be so damaging to
Here
them.
we go. Here we go. Let me just share you. If you want to think that nobody will marry you as long as you stay hot, you can end up like Riley Reid. I would say she has an above average husband. I would say he's above average in looks.
Oh,
He looks like he's
show
like you can't see the
Yeah,
screen.
this is crazy to me when I see stuff like
Mhm.
this. Where look, and I'm not here. I don't want to ever say
Oh,
condemn
here.
anyone. That's
Here
not
we
my
go.
job. But
Here we go.
when I see shit where like chicks who did shit like this get a good husband, I'm like, what the hell? Like, what kind of message are the men sending? That's like, hey, yeah, you could do all that, and somebody will still marry you and have a kid with you.
Like I would say Nala Ray's husband is conventionally attractive and above average,
show her.
Yeah, so here,
Her
share
husband.
this. I'm about to share this tab instead. Oh wait, hold on. Let me do. Yeah. I mean, I would say that's like a conventionally oh my gosh, I don't know what they're trying to do here. But I would say that's like a conventionally attractive guy. I would
Or
say that's better than a lot of women can do.
show
So
her show her the woman that actually got into the church, Brittany Lamora.
oh,
Remember
she's
her
coming
and
out. Yeah.
her pastor husband? Yeah,
Um,
she
yeah,
she's like, go ahead.
yeah, so why wouldn't she make $1 million? Just say sorry after. You could still get the marriage. You can actually get clout being super holy, and you can get a bunch of attention. Like you can get all these good person points because apparently, according to the Christians, it's better to actually they give you a microphone more if you messed up your life and then came back, instead of the
Yeah, but
people that
this is not a real repentance, man. I don't understand how people are falling for this. Like, you go look at these stories. Go look at these stories of, like, there's Saint Mary of Egypt, who is one of the famous, like, before she became a Christian, one of the famous hoes. And when she repented, I mean, she went into the desert and lived on locusts and honey, and didn't see anyone until a monk came in. I mean, that's a repentance. So if these girls were like, "Hey, I'm going to give every single dollar that I made to some charity that tells girls don't do this." And then they, like you said, I saw your interview with that other one, Pearl. If you said, well, you went to the back of the church and you shut your mouth and you didn't talk. Yeah. Yeah. I would believe you then. I would believe you then. But
I'm gonna ask you, because we've got asked this multiple times. Let's say, okay, let's say a woman was on OnlyFans, did corn and stuff, and was 27 years old and wanted to put it all behind her. What criteria would she have to meet, and for how long, for you to believe that she was a changed woman? Because I wouldn't ever believe her, but if I had to say criteria, I would say she'd have to be brought into the church by a man of God, right? They'd have to be married for 10 to 15 years. She'd have to have 3 of his kids and no whoring for at least 10 to 15 years.
yeah,
What would your
it's a
criteria be?
it's a 10-year minimum. But again, Saint Mary of Egypt never married again. She took the monastic vows because she knew she was so broken in that area. And there was another guy on here, Roosh V, who was a pickup artist, and he had a whole awakening, and you could see the change in him. I mean, this is not a scam he's running. His whole face is different, and he's pretty much, I think he was online, everything. He deleted all his socials, once he came to a certain point, deleted all his socials. And the last I heard, he was pursuing the monastic life. I mean, that's actually like a real repentance. You realize, like, hey, I damaged for something. When you go that far, right? When you go so far in one direction, the repentance is going to be really far in the other direction, not some mild thing like Nala still making cooking shows that are basically porn.
Do you think that Nala and all these women should give all that money back?
Yeah, 100%.
Ah,
100%. If you did that and you really repented and you really feel like, God, what have I done to you? Because that's really what repentance means, is what you've done to God. That sorrow and grief, yeah, you'd give all that back.
I like the 10-year minimum. I think that's good because, and the other thing is, I always wonder why the Christian guys are so willing, especially the women. They'll like embrace these porn stars. And I'm like, do you want these former porn stars next to your husbands?